2, 1. We went early. Hello.
Surprise.
Surprise. Welcome to Band of Badgers. Who am I? I'm Dave, your host for this episode. And this is the Great British Brush Off. And I think for the first time joining us on the Brush Off is Justice from Beadle and Grimm's. How you doing, Justice?
Hello. How are you doing?
All good. We've just spent the past 10-15 minutes talking about Batman and Marvel Comics and Marvel Zombies and loads of stuff. Was that you, Steve?
What's what, mate?
No, I don't know. I can't see. I'm just reading off the auto cue. Now, unfortunately, Joe couldn't be with us this evening. He had to jump out last kind of minute. But it means the odds are in my favour to win one of the coveted gold stars. So my only competition is Steve. I say my only competition is Steve. He is pretty good. But we'll see. We're painting zombies. And if anyone has seen Band of Badgers, know I love a good zombie. So before we get down into this, thank you to WizKids, Vallejo and to Redgrass. I've mentioned zombies enough. We are painting the zombies. These are the Nozors zombies from WizKids. So we're just going to crack on, really. We've got a lot to get through. We might paint one, we might paint two. Who knows? But if you have a question for Justice, or even for Steve, or for me, just shout out. He's a great Brit. What was that? Maverick's in the audience saying he's a great Brit. Cheers, Brandon. I hope you talk about me. Oh, we talk about Patterson. We don't know if we talk about Patterson. Right. Anyway, enough of that waffle. How you doing, Justice? Oh, you're on mute. You've gone. I've lost your sound.
Oh, I'm muted,
There you
but
go.
I'm doing well. No, things are good. I am. I forgot that it's nighttime for y'all there.
Yeah, that's cool. I've just had a message from your mate Nathan. He says he's definitely up for sorting out a chat. So I literally called him. It is Nathan, Justice's mate.
Oh, okay.
Now he is that in the contact list. So
Must be that's Nate Dog. Nate, I think that's probably Nate who lives not that far from us. A local friend out here in the desolate wasteland of Texas, USA.
good.
Should I tilt my camera down so we can see my miniature?
Well, now you're getting a bit risky there. Whatever you want to do, it's you can swear, you can drink, you can smoke, you can show us your mini.
There we go.
So I mean,
get everything here.
it got a bit naughty at the weekend with was it Saturday night? The Beadle and Grimm's drunken mailbag.
Oh gosh, yes. Our drunken mailbag, as you watch me position everything here. Our drunken mailbags are always a look at that. That's not bad. Okay. Our drunken mailbags are always a little out of control.
Yep.
I was in the chat, however. So I'm always scared that they're going to drop NDA secrets about the products to come. Anytime they talk to one another on one of those calls and say, oh, should we announce the thing? I'm always wondering, does the other person know what they're referencing? Or are they going to announce something by accident? It was a good fun. No major mishaps that I could tell.
So you weren't on the stream. Jason was kind of taking a hot seat again. Were you drinking in the wings?
I actually I do not partake in the alcohol, so I am usually the sober mailbag.
You're the driver. Designated
Yes,
driver.
I am the designated driver. The DD, which is nice because it's close to D and D, which is close to my heart. So
because it did seem to be that was probably the most drunk I have seen them.
Yeah, they were definitely they've been pre-gaming, so that's always funny. No, they're a good group though. It's funny they they love doing those drunken mailbags. And
It is good fun. I would love to actually join in and get drunk, but when you go live, it's something like 3 a.m. here in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always tricky.
It's not a good time to be drinking 3 a.m.
I don't mind if I
We
was
wrapped
drinking
up by that
beforehand.
point.
Yeah, we've already passed out.
No.
We started early.
Just out of interest, whose idea was Drunken Mailbag in the first place?
Whose idea was Drunken Mailbag in the first place? That's a good question.
Was it an idea, or was it just?
I think
everyone's
it was
drunk?
just let's do a Q&A and we can get drunk at the same time. And the thought was like, that sounds like a good idea. And then when we started that, I realized to my horror, I believe we're always nervous about dropping any sort of like spoiler.
Yeah.
And I think that when that was going on, we were about to announce Strahd, but it hadn't happened yet. And there was a moment, I think Michaela and I were both on the call at the time, and Matt said something like, "Oh, we're looking forward to all kinds of things. We're looking forward to this. We can't wait to do Strahd or something."
Yeah.
And then we all like froze in horror at what he said. And then we're like, "You mean Van Richten's, right?" And he's like, "Yes, that's what I mean." And then like business went on as usual. But yeah, it's certainly a risky event at times, depending on how much they have pre-gamed. I know that Charlie, one of the founders, loves to drink this. He always drinks from this like square, this like metal thing. It looks like a paint can.
Yeah, I've seen him use that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's FDA approved, but it seems to get the job done fairly well.
He does when he does that, he does remind me of Sam Riegel from Critical Role when he's
With the gas can, right?
the gas can. Yeah,
That's funny.
that is always a. I mean, so I'm using. I've been using this for the first time. I'm using Dead Flesh.
Good
And
flesh.
it's coming out very horrible. It's a great. The name is probably perfect for Dead Flesh. Mav in chat is saying yes, it is. It is paint thinner.
Yeah, he likes to joke about that. I mean, he probably is joking. Yeah, they do like they're a good group though. Like they've been gaming for something like 20 years together.
Yeah.
So they have like a retreat that they do every once a year, and it's kind of become more of like a company retreat for them.
Yep.
In recent years. But they like go and get a cabin or like a little place, and then they drink and game a bunch and talk about the company and come back with a bunch of ideas. But as far as I understand, they've been, Charlie and Bill, two of the founders, they're brothers, and so you can tell based on the way that they kind of rib each other which one of them have known each other the longest. But no, yeah, it's that, and that's one of the good things, that one of the the fun things I think in working for them has just been that, like, they play games a lot and they played games together, and so I think in that kind of foundation they end up making really cool stuff because of it, because they make products that they would buy,
What's
and
been
I think
your...
a lot of the
Go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, I think a lot of the time that, like, they make decisions that sometimes are less, maybe businessy, less profitable in some ways, to make sure that a better product is made for the gamers, which is really like admirable, I think.
Yes.
What has been your highlight of the projects which are out at the moment? What's been your favorite?
So I kind of came on part-time with BNG back when they were doing Eberron, and that's a really cool box. I don't play an Eberron game, But that was our first kind of
Steve's a big
setting.
fan of Eberron, yeah.
I am.
Oh, yeah?
I have that box.
Yeah, it's a good box, our first setting box. But I think the first time I was, when I was first full time, the Strahd box was kind of the first one that I really produced. And I did that one with Matt, and that was kind of cool, to be able to work on a project for a book that, normally we're working, very quickly to make something for a product that's not yet out. And so, we're getting the text and we're, thinking and working with the folks over at Wizards to come up with really cool stuff. But with Strahd, we had this unique opportunity to make something that all of the text was already out and there wasn't a, like a lead time, basically. So we could really stop and think and look at what people thought of the adventure and what kind of things were difficult for them. And so that, that box especially, that's one of our best sellers. We're on our third printing for it. But it was just a really cool exercise because, I got to look and people were saying things like, oh, there's these winery gems and one of them isn't in the book on purpose, but here's where I hid it. So, if you look at our bonus encounters in there, like a lot of those bonus encounters and aids and stuff like that are geared towards, supporting areas that people brought up as things that they search for frequently and things they have difficulty with. So there's there's a GM aid I wrote for the dinner scene with Strahd, because Matt and I sat and talked about how awkward it must be to run that scene between Strahd where you're having dinner. What does Strahd talk about at that dinner? What does that dinner actually look like when Strahd invites the party to Castle Ravenloft?
Yeah. Does
it turn into a fight? Does it not? How does the dinner end?
Yeah, just get my coat. There you go. Bye. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah. He's like, hey, stop what you're doing. Because there's a bunch of different scenarios, spoilers, I guess, that can lead to that dinner scene. You can really piss Strahd off. And he sends the same invitation. And, it's located in the back of the book. We turned it into a handout. But the invitation stays the same, but the tone of the invitation changes depending on what event just kind of happened. So if you took something from Strahd or made him angry, he sends a letter inviting you to dinner, and that's a really intimidating letter to receive. But if you receive it because you're trying to get his attention or you've done something positive, then that, then it's more curious. So, the Strahd that you see at a dinner when he's pissed off is going to be a very different Strahd than the one that's celebrating the characters or wants something from them, or is toying with them.
One of the things that that people probably know you for is your writing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did, so this goes back a couple of years actually. It's weird. It doesn't feel like a couple of years, but it has been. I can't remember who you wrote it with, but it was The Fall of El Terrell.
Yeah, that was with Anthony Joyce Rivera.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. I talk with him almost every day.
It was I bought the Beadle and Grimm Avernus Platinum, and I didn't agree with the opening to Avernus, and I did the whole kind of DM's Guild or Drive for RPG, one of them, and found The Fall of El Terrell, and that was before I kind of knew you as associated with Beadle and Grimm's. And I picked it up, I read it, I liked it, I ran it. It was a great opening, and at the end, when the city of El Terrell falls, I did it kind of a bit like the scene from Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor is holding on to the wire and she watches the playground as everyone kind of just dies and turns to ash. I kind of did that at the end for my players. And that was a Friday night. And then the Monday we went into lockdown. So I have not yet played my Avernus Platinum box. Because we never got there.
What a miserable scene.
Yeah, we just left them hanging.
That's funny though.
But I think hopefully this year is where we get back to it in
Yeah.
an in-person game.
Yeah, that's a really cool adventure too. And yeah, Anthony came up with the concept for that adventure. Anthony's really great at two things specifically. One is like using official like D&D IP and leveraging that to make something really unique. The other is tugging at your heartstrings.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that you see, I remember having to kind of tell him to like lean back a little bit because it was too sad. I was like, this is too depressing. Let's hint at this instead. Like there's some things, that's spoiling that adventure in there that like they're already pretty dark, considering what happens at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's always so funny. He's really great at that. And in that adventure specifically, yeah, it really we ran that for our table to kick off the adventure as well, and it really helped kind of set the stakes for the adventure and make things feel personal.
Yes, it was that personal connection that really did it for me, because I was trying to, again, the original opening I didn't necessarily agree with. You just kind of, you're a refugee, you turn up and the watch goes, right, your deputies go over here, do this, do that. And I was like, well, why? And especially like, why are you going to risk yourself going into hell when that bit comes up? There didn't seem to be a stake in it, but your story added that extra personal connection to it, which I quite liked. And the way it was it was a nice introduction to the setting as well. It was very cool. Almost interactive session 0. That everyone set set the scene, introduce their characters, and then take their families away from them. And they have a reason to go to hell.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool adventure. That was one of our that's one of our more popular ones. I remember like Mike Shea, goes Sly Flourish. If you're familiar with him, he kind of messaged me and Anthony after running it, and he said that he ran that adventure for his table, and he said that his wife cried after that adventure, and he said, I have never seen that kind of reaction from a D&D adventure before. And that was such a cool moment, especially because like, me and Anthony, like we're still very, like we love D&D like at our hearts, and we keep up with stuff, and we admire a lot of the writers and designers in the scene, the people like making things and just having fun. And Sly's one of those people where like, oh my gosh, this is somebody who helped us, in our games before, and now for him to contact us and to be like, hey, you did something really cool that made my table feel very special. Like that's like, hey, like favor paid forward. Like, thank you so much. It's so cool.
Are you going to be doing more writing like that? I know you do the bonus encounters, which are great, by the way.
Thanks.
Are you going to do more independent stuff?
Yeah, I have a lot of things kind of in the pipeline right now that should be coming to fruition this year, and I'm excited to talk about some of them. And of course, like I've done some writing for Arcadia. I had an Arcadia article drop in December called "Fences Make Good Neighbors," and it's like rules for selling hot items basically. And fences. There's like 3 different fences that you can put in your games that are like kind of more criminal NPCs that have inventories, so that when your characters want to sell something that they can't just sell in a store, who do they go to and what is that person like? And so there's like a 65-year-old woman who pretends to be this sweet old lady, and she's really this like badass who runs this illegal mount trading place called Rock Bottom Ranch, and she can trade you like griffins and stuff like that for your characters. And so I did that, and of course I was on Kingdoms and Warfare, and so I do some writing here and there, and I'm lucky that Beetle and Grimm's allows me to do freelance work like that, because it helps me to improve as a writer and work with people I respect and like. And very lucky.
What do you want to do as a career? Is writing the main thing that you want to pursue? Is it game design?
I mean, that's always the question, right? I mean, I was in healthcare just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I worked as a surgical clinic manager before I was at B&G.
Is that how you met Bill? Because I know Bill was
in healthcare, but I met Bill at Gen Con 2018.
Oh, right.
I was dressed as a wizard when I met him, actually. And I walked up to him, and Bill was wearing a shirt that shared the name of the hospital that I worked at. However, Bill is obviously based in California with the other founders, with the exception of Paul. And I was in Texas, so obviously couldn't be the same network. So I kind of went up to him and I said, "Hey, like, that's really cool. I work at a hospital that has the same name." So we talked a little bit there, and bonded. And I was really passionate about what B&G was doing. I thought it was really cool. I love immersive DMing, and they had not yet. They were getting ready to do the Waterdeep box, and couldn't show everything from it, but had like some samples, and it was pretty easy to, from those samples, kind of guess what might be in the box. They're like, if this is a cloud giant adventure, and there's a cloud giant miniature in it, so you can expect that there are some miniatures that would match the adventure coming out. So I was like, okay, there's probably a beholder in here, and so then I asked Bill, then I was like, do you all have any openings? Do you ever want to hire? And I asked him if I could have his email, and we would just email about once or twice a month until the following Gen Con. I had written a supplement, and I had some creative leverage kind of under my belt to, I asked if I could volunteer for their booth. They said, you can come work the booth, but we're going to pay you for your time. And that was a good sign that, this was a good group of people that, didn't want me working for free.
Yeah.
And kind of the rest is history. I came on with them. I did some writing for them. Long story short, I love writing, and I love design. I also like project leadership. I like the nuts and bolts of projects. I enjoy editing. So kind of, I think game design fulfills kind of all of those, scratches each of those itches. That sometimes I get to do design, sometimes I get to do editing, sometimes I'm writing lore. And I think it's likely I'll continue on that, that same path as we go, depending on what we're, up to as a company.
Yeah, that's good.
How did you first get into writing then, if you was working in medical care?
My notes for my campaigns were just really, really in depth, and I kind of realized in retrospect later on that I was writing before I realized I was writing, and I'd write these long kind of fanfics, I guess, of our campaign, and these recaps that I just really enjoyed writing them. And we would do these spooky one-shots once a year around Halloween, where we would we'd stop whatever campaign we're doing, they'd make new characters, and then we'd play kind of like a more Halloween inspired thing. Halloween's my favorite holiday. I always go all out with my decorations, and we do a little party and things like that. And so I wrote this adventure.
Are your skeletons still in the front garden?
Yes, that one. Yes. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, I always leave that one decoration up year round, and it's a grim reminder. So I wrote this adventure, and it was actually pretty close to looking like something you might find on the DMs Guild, and I heard some people talking about it, and it's called Heart Hunt. And I was like, wow, this would actually be a kind of cool adventure to post, because it would be good for horror around Valentine's Day too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I threw it into a template through this site, Natural Crits Home Brewery, and posted on the DMs Guild, and then forgot about it for like the longest time. And I made it pay what you want. And then that following summer, another writer, MT Black, was doing this contest for a 1-page adventure contest. And I said, oh, 1 page, I can write 1 page. And it turned out it was actually really hard to fit a single adventure on 1 page. As part of the submission of that, I had to give him a DMs Guild address in case we won, and he could, distribute like product and things like that, and funds or whatever. And I found my old DMs Guild address, and when I logged in, I had money in there. And I was like, this is weird. Somebody hacked me and gave me money. It's like a weird bank error in my favor or something.
Was it a good amount? Was it a good amount, or was it?
It was like,
oh, that's nice. I got 50 quid.
I think it was like 40. It was either like $45 or $90. I want to say it was like, I want to say it was 45, because I think like 90 people had given me $1 for this supplement. I was like, wow, that's really cool. I had gotten a medal for this supplement. I didn't realize it. Like it had almost sold 100 copies while I was, and these were people who didn't have to pay me, who chose to pay me to get it. And I thought that was really cool. And I just kept writing, and I kind of invested a little bit in my next product and had custom art made and paid a layout designer. And from there, I just kept going and going, and kind of haven't ever stopped.
That's cool.
What about y'all? Do y'all like writing at all, or?
Go on, Steve.
Sorry, I had the hairdryer on. I find it difficult to finish. So what you were saying there about writing an adventure on 1 sheet, that has got to be the most difficult thing to do, I think, because your brain instantly just comes up with all these other offshoots and branches and connections that you feel obliged to write about that really got nothing to do with it. So I think editing must be a skill that you either have or don't have. And that is completely independent of writing. I think sometimes it's easier to write than it must be to edit.
I think I really enjoy editing. I like it feels like you're fixing something, and you get to kind of take a product to its final stage, in a way. Especially like copy editing, you go in and you fix the typos, and you make sure nothing is out of place, and then it moves on to layout, and that's kind of cool, and you review it and stuff. And I do a lot of that sort of thing at B&G as well. But it's enjoyable, and I like the idea of I like reading other writers' writing. Hopefully it makes me a little bit better. I get to learn things while I, find new words, new sentence kind of structures that I enjoy. And I'm like, ooh, that would be really cool to use in my own writing. So editing is nice. And then just, knowing that there's, a definitive, oh, this word is not the right word here, or, oh, this is not consistent with the style guide. Let's fix that. Yeah. You get that kind of, here's a problem, put the patch on it. Here's a problem, put the patch on it. So it's kind of more enjoyable at times, especially when you've just, when it can be so difficult to convert an idea into a paragraph or a page of writing. It can kind of, editing is kind of like that fun kind of middle ground. No, I'm not. I don't know if I consider myself like a full on editor, but I've edited many times.
You find it easier editing other people's work rather than your own.
Oh yeah. Like, and you look at one thing too many times, you need an outside editor. Like I don't mind, you know, reviewing my own paragraph or something, but after a while you get into habits and you need somebody else to come in and look at your work and identify the blind spots that you might have left and do the same thing for you that you will with them. Like, that's one of the things me and my buddy, Anthony, will do often is read each other's writing. And we'll send each other a paragraph and say, what do you think about this? And, you look at something so many times, you have such a high level view of it, you miss some of the details, or sometimes you get such a detailed look at something that you start to forget the high level part of it, of, oh my gosh, does it make sense that this NPC said this? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense that are the characters going to want to do this? Do they have a good motivation? That sort of things.
Do you have a preferred story type that you like, a story setting that you prefer to play? Is there and let's bolt it on to Beadle and Grimm's. Is it something that you haven't made yet as part of Beadle and Grimm? So are you more sci-fi than fantasy? Are you more magic over cold hard steel? What are your preferences?
Definitely magic and definitely fantasy. Yeah. While I love a good sci-fi, it is way harder for me to tap into that, that imaginative realism because I'm not as familiar with the genre. Like, I played a Starfinder one shot and I loved it, but also like I wasn't sure how to role play like hacking into a computer, because it's like, what is this computer? Whereas like I talked with another writer, designer, Sam Manel, who did work for MCDM on their Arcadian Kingdoms of Warfare.
Yeah.
And the idea that like fantasy is so ingrained into our society that its tropes and it's even the classic kind of mocking way that a fantasy person talks sometimes, like classic, like Shakespeare or whatever.
I come at
people
thee.
Can usually prithee, like doth milady, that sort of stuff. Like, people know it even as a joke.
Yeah.
But it's so ingrained in society that it's so easier to call those images forward and play with the tropes and challenge them. Whereas sci-fi, there's no like one united sci-fi really. Like, there's the sci-fi of Star Wars, which is kind of fantasy at times.
I kind of like what you're saying. I completely agree with the fantasy side of things, where you can do things like, for my honor, I pull my sword and I charge towards the dragon, and
right.
you hear the roaring thunder as 1,000 hooves of your horseback compatriots, your army behind you, suddenly charges with you. You can do all that kind of thing. The whole gladiator aspect. I think Gladiator took a load of it, but. Yeah, you've got Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah, like there's no dragon in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So what is there's like the Rancor, but there's no Rancor in Star Trek that I know. So you have to learn that lore, and that becomes a barrier to playing in sci-fi. There's no unified sci-fi creature. Like, there's aliens, but what are these aliens? And are they hostile? And are these aliens that talk? And what is technology like, and how realistic is the space travel, and is there teleportation, or there's so many factors there that I think you have to define your brand of sci-fi, and you almost need the players you're playing with to be sort of familiar with and buy into the one that you have planned.
I think when we did a Starfinder campaign, which Steve was the GM for, and I was the pilot, and the only thing I could think of was, I'm going to be some kind of space cowboy. So I had kind of 6 shooters on my hips, so proper guns, if you like, to go with the cowboy theme. I had the hat, but for the being a pilot, it was like, right, yeah, let's get out of here. Okay. Turn it on. Is this a push button start? I mean, how do we do this? And it was only because, yeah, it's my key. Beep, boop. Unlock it. And it was only because.
Is it voice activated? Yeah, like, what do we do here?
There was I think it was a Korean film on Netflix, and it was a sci-fi one, and there was a robot who could stand on top of the spaceship when it was moving. They're like junkers, and it would hit things. But the pilot, who was human, he had the steering wheel joystick thing, but he also had foot pedals like a car, and he takes his shoes off, so he basically flies or drives in barefoot. And I was like, I love that idea. I was like, okay, I'll grab hold of the joystick, and I'll push the lever up like Han Solo does to go into, light speed, and then I'll slam my foot on the pedal. Like, vroom! And that was it. Yeah. I didn't know what else to do. And then you're in a space dogfight kind of thing. And with the player who is the captain giving me orders, and I'm like, okay, aye. What? Do I have a skill check now, or?
Right. It's like, what does that look like? And I think in some ways, like, there's like more freedom sometimes in sci-fi. Is that like most fantasy stuff takes place on one world, so anything that you make kind of usually has to have some sense of internal consistency. Whereas if you do like sci-fi, you can say, oh, like my character is from this planet, like where this happens, and you get a little bit of maybe some freedom in world building there that some GMs of fantasy settings might not be as willing to make room for. No, I want to play some sci-fi, something sci-fi.
We've got some on the schedule ahead when we get properly into spring. Steve, I think, is going to be running some more Starfinder or Alien. Steve, have you decided? Steve's not on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it'll be Aliens. Do something with the Space Marines book. Something with a starter adventure as well. So yeah, definitely Aliens, and we will have to go back to Starfinder as well. So I was kind of waiting for the announcement on second edition, but it's gone a bit quiet. So.
Are they doing a second edition?
I hope so.
Interesting. Yeah, I played I ran a Starfinder one shot for my free RPG day for my local game store out here in Texas, and that was fun. I didn't totally understand what was going on, but luckily the players were all new, so they didn't know when I was making stuff up. But no, it's a cool system. I have the only character I've ever made though is a intergalactic truck driver technomancer named Axel. His favorite spell is grease. He's got a big mustache and loves truck stop food, and it's pretty funny. But he's like very smart. So it's just everything he does though is like boiled down to like hands-on experience. So he'll like duct tape like whatever technological coils together to patch into a security camera or whatever.
Budget fix.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need a hacking card or whatever. You need a can of WD-40. You just need to loosen this panel here, and then you just plug right in. You got a USB on you?
I think that's what Pathfinder and Starfinder have slightly edgewise over D&D. Is the number of options that you've got open to you as a player when you're doing your character creation.
Yeah.
With the feat selection that you have, the archetypes, there are a lot of customization options, far more than you get in D&D. Sometimes I find with D&D, you do end up optimizing builds if you play the same character class a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that.
So how's everyone doing with their minis at the moment? Well, Steve's gone purple.
Yeah, I might have gone out to purple. I might have cocked up on this colour scheme.
The gold star is mine.
I'm going a bit ghoulish.
I'll have to throw some grey in there.
It's pretty cool.
How long have you been sort of doing some miniature painting? When did you get into the hobby, Justice?
Oh gosh. I don't know how often I paint. I had to shake my paints pretty hard. But no, I've been painting maybe a couple years. I've never really. I think the biggest thing I painted is maybe a frog.
A frog or a froggemoth?
A frost giant.
Oh, a frost giant.
So, no, I like it. It's just one of those things where if I have the time to do it, I really enjoy it. Just sitting down with a miniature and watching a movie, it's super peaceful. So hopefully I can do some more of that. I'm wrapping up some freelance projects in the next couple of days, and then I really don't have much on my plate aside from my day job.
You've got to get
Which is
back
nice.
to it. Is there because like Beadle and Grimm's, the amount of projects on the go at the moment have really increased. Is there?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot landing at the same time. Feels like.
Is there a more busy time of the year, or is it just everything the way everything is kind of collided?
I mean, end of year tends to be pretty busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because Witchlight will drop.
Yeah.
And then we were also shipping out Kickstarter stuff, and then we were also getting ready for the Kamigawa stuff. And oh my gosh, I was using the wrong flesh color. Oh my goodness, I was using elf flesh. No wonder he's so pale.
And not the dead flesh.
Not the dead
Yeah,
fish.
it should have like a tint of green, like my one.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Oh, that's it. It's okay.
Probably
It's never
the
too
light is
late.
too strong,
It's not too late. It's never too
you
late.
can add it in.
Huh. That'll be easy. I can do that. Yeah, that'll be good. But no, yeah. I also run I do most of our support queues, so I notice when it's busy.
Yeah.
Get a lot of tickets. But it seems like people, I rested easy a lot when we had Tal'Dorei and Witchlight out, because I know those were, two very big releases, especially, Witchlight, where just the international delays had been so severe. I know everybody's getting hit by that, but it's really hard for our customers, and we really feel for them, because they're these are games that you're postponing, or you're running something and that a piece is in a box that you want to use that's just not there yet, and it's kind of hard to wait on that piece.
I think it's always hard as well, because so I've mentioned this on various other streams as well, and I've had a lot of echoes back where people agree with me, where if I back a lot of Kickstarters, so does Steve, and I buy a lot of Beadle and Grimm's products, but it is when the boxes turn up, these are big boxes, it is like Christmas. It is fantastic, and especially in the first year of lockdown, it seems strange to think we've kind of had two, but in the first year, I forgot that I backed Kickstarters. And you back a Kickstarter and it turns up a year later. Suddenly these big boxes will turn up on the doorstep, and I was like, oh wow. And it really cheered me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved all the Kickstarters. And I saw on the latest Drunken Mailbag, the dice, the Pathfinder dice are turning up now.
The dice, finally, yes.
Yeah.
We're very excited about the dice.
Looking forward to those.
And the dice are really cool because that's like one area where it's very new for us to be in the retail scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like I know that some of our Pathfinder books have been seen in the wild, and our Roll-a-Niche bags. So that's really cool. And especially the dice, like we're hopeful people, really like those because the tins are just beautiful and the artwork on them. And so we hope that, people will like them and use them. And, even some of helped coordinate a lot of the which dice go in which tins, like based on, if you get the wizard tin, you want the number of dice to be higher in spells you're going to cast more often. So
that was a nice touch.
Yeah, you want d6s for fireballs. You want, your barbarians, they need to have dice for brutal criticals, with they're probably going to be great weapons. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Oh yeah, this is a lot better for the flesh.
Have you tried Pathfinder in your own games?
Not in our home game. It's so hard to, it's enough to even just get a group together to play a game sometimes.
Yes, it is.
Let alone, changing a system on them. And we really, we really like D&D. But I played, actually, I was in the play tests for second edition. So I played quite a bit of it. I played a few different characters. I played a druid, a demon sorcerer, I actually really like the way the wild shape works for the druid. I love that you can become like a dragon and shit. It's very satisfying to have like a monstrous wild shape.
Yeah, I never played in the playtesting stuff. I had the I got the books and I was reading through and everything, but we never actually got to playtest.
I remember at Gen Con that they sold out so fast of those books.
Yeah.
That side of the, they have like that whole side of the dealer's hall. It's just they lay down the purple squares for the Paizo section, and when they made those beautiful playtest books, they're like leather covers and stuff, and I remember just people swarming to get those. And yeah, so I did a little bit of that. It was an online game we played over Roll20, and played a few different scenarios, and it was kind of cool. I actually really like the 3-action system for spell casting. I think it's cool that you can use more of your turn to kind of soup up your spells in some cases.
Yeah,
I do think they've got it bang on.
Yeah,
in second edition with 3 actions is really good.
Helps explain things too, like you don't have to explain a swift action and all that, sort of thing. Not yet played it with my my group though. Tempted to do a one shot or something, and I have my chiropractor actually plays Pathfinder. He plays an orc wizard. I think he said. So I kind of want to give him one of our Wizard Chronicles.
Yeah, do it. There's really no limitations.
Yeah,
you can be as free as you want to be. There is people seem to always be put off by the amount of variety, but I think the amount of variety makes it stronger.
Yeah, it's always a double-edged sword. Like, the more customization your game has, the less accessible it becomes to new players. Because the thing that stuck out to me back when I made a character in 3.5, that was the first edition of D&D I ever played, was you need to optimize, because everybody else is optimizing, and you can, sometimes it just feels bad if you make a bad character. A character that's not as good as the others. You don't feel as helpful. It's hard to, even if you're like a really nonchalant player, it's hard to overcome that feeling of like, oh, does the party need me? Like, am I being outshone, sort of thing. You want to have like a go-to expert at least one thing in a party, because then they really get to shine whenever that thing comes up. But when I played 5e, and even in Pathfinder second edition, I felt a lot more like the stuff I was choosing was very helpful, and that I wasn't like missing out on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something you mentioned earlier, I can't remember if we did it. We talked about it at the start, or if we talked about it off camera. We were talking about Gary Con, and you mentioned you mentioned Gamehole Con or Gamehole.
Yeah.
And you did. You ran you were the GM. You ran a live stream. At Gamehole. That was your first time.
That was my first time running
and it was really good.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it was Banana Chan and Chris Lindsay and Luke Gygax and Tony Winslow and Peter. Can't remember Peter's last name, but he's an author. And I had never played with that group, and it was actually really sweet because Luke came up to me afterwards. He's like, "Hey, you did a really great job." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." He's like, "No, man, like really, like I'm not just saying that." He's like, "You should do more of that." And it made me, I don't know, it made me feel really good. I got so nervous before that game, and I don't know, they were a good group, and yeah, it was fun. It
was a lot of fun. It was good to watch.
The audience was
yeah.
My favorite part. It was actually Anthony who gave me that idea, because I was talking to him before, and I said, "Hey, like it would be really cool to have you, since you're going to be in the audience, and this is like a congregation, like got this Barovian preacher who's rolling in. Like it'd be cool if you could throw out an amen like at this part of the show." He's like, "Dude, you should just tell the whole audience when you want us to do that." I said, "That's genius." And so before the cameras went on, I was like, just a heads up, like, this has some audience participation in it. So if you all can, when you feel the spirit of the dawn Lord, moving through you, the whatever it is, the morning Lord, then I want you to shout out. So it's very like, I grew up in, I didn't notice my thing was black. I grew up in, outside Nashville, Tennessee, and so you get that kind of. There are definitely some of those fire and brimstone type preachers in the area where I grew up, and so it's kind of fun to bring some of that to D&D in a kind of more joking way.
Are you going to be able to do more of that? More at the shows and stuff, with all the shows coming up this year?
I hope so.
Cool.
I really like running games.
We're still hoping to come over to Gen Con this year.
Yeah, Gen Con is great. My first Gen Con was the 50th anniversary Gen Con that they did, and I had never been to a convention before, and me and the guys in our gaming group were floating around the idea of driving up there and attending it. We had never been before. We bought these tickets, and I drove 16 hours in a straight shot. We attended one day and then drove back the next day. So I was just like, like shaking, like we're eating at a Whataburger at like 3 a.m, about an hour outside of my city, and they're like, "Are you gonna be okay?" And I like wouldn't trust anybody to drive my car, because it like I was like, if they get in a wreck and it's my car, it's gonna be a whole thing. And so I finished driving it, but I had no idea that convention was as big as it was.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the biggest attendance they'd had, something like 200,000 people that year.
What did you do? Do you just go shopping? Did you go to
I mean, we spent our
events?
whole day in the dealer's hall. Like, we didn't even know that there were events. That became
wow.
our vacation venue the next year
Yeah.
because, we just didn't realize that there was so much to do there. But yeah, that's a great con. I'm this is kind of, I feel pretentious mentioning this, but I'm actually going to be at Gamehole this year as a special guest. It'll be my first time being a special guest at a convention, so I'm curious to see what that's like. And Gamehole is one of my favorite cons of all time, just because it's a smaller convention, but it's it's intimate, and the people there they love gaming.
Yeah.
And there's it's a kind of a smaller dealer hall, and just it's nice because you don't feel like you have to, there's not like as much of a rush to do everything.
Yeah.
The key to us feeling like, at Gen Con that we really made the most of it was just knowing that we can't do it all. That's also fun.
I have a slight segue there. Do you know Alex? Did you meet Alex? Did you play with Alex?
Yeah, Alex Kammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been up in the game hole, and Alex is awesome.
He's I'm assuming you know, but he's him.
He did the Thayan book.
Yes, with Ed Greenwood and Alan Patrick.
Yes. Yeah, he has Ed's original Forgotten Realms maps in his game. I got to see them back in 2019. It was very, very special. They're like hand drawn. He's got them laminated, and seeing the tour of his collection was like one of the coolest gaming experiences of my life. I was like, he's like, this is. I'm like, I know what this is. That's amazing. It's just a bunch of people geeking out together, and it's like, honestly, like, Alex is just really great. I have a friend of mine who came out for the first time this past year for Gamehole Con, and he kind of had like just kind of a rough time lately with life and some things popping up, and he wasn't sure if he was going to go to this convention, and I was like, oh, you should come. I think it'd be really good for you. And he had the time of his life, and Alex was just so welcoming to him, and it was just a really sweet experience, and I think it really lifted his spirits, and I mean, it was kind of just what he needed, and so, like, shout out to Gamehole Con for being just really sweet.
Yeah, my copy of their book, I got the notice today, is shipping, which is it's the Red Wizards of Thay. It's a source book material. There's a small adventure in there as well. So anyone.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's it's quite an interesting story actually. It's quite something a little bit. Oh, I just dropped my brush. Something a little bit different.
No, that's cool.
So we're hoping to do something with that. We're hoping to have the guys on to do a little bit of an interview.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I worked with Ed a couple of times. Once for the Candlekeep book.
Yeah.
And then once for Darkhold: Secrets of the Zentarium. And he's a very sweet person. He ends all of his emails with hugs. Hugs, Ed. That's so funny. He'll just like drop the most mind-blowing lore so casually. You're like a fan of the Forgotten Realms and stuff, and it'll be like, oh yeah, so there's actually like the 4 other unnamed mansions, and here's where they're at.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you can't just say those things.
Here's the other stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking like a nice book. My I ordered the hardback edition, so it was printed and it's coming out this week. So I should have that, which I'm looking forward to.
I think the Thayan wizards are so cool. I love the idea that they like cut themselves off from a type of magic to be better at the others. That's just so metal.
They just ignore the rest. And just
they're like, abjuration. Who needs abjuration when you have necromancy?
Yeah. The zombie miniature on the back has an exposed spine. Just above his hips. I'm trying to bring that out into a little bit of detail. I don't have the skill though, but I'm trying. How you doing, Steve? You gone all quiet? You got your hair dryer out again?
Yes, I have just got the hair dryer out again. I've just been wet blending a jacket, so I need to dry that.
Wet blending the jacket.
Yeah, I've got some blues on there, and I wanted brown at the bottom, so it looked dirty.
No, I haven't got that far yet. Not yet. The best thing about miniatures is when you do paint them, is you do just see so much more detail. I love having these on there. So Justice, in terms of, because you've got you run your home game.
Yeah.
Do you prefer using? I suppose also because Beal and Grimm's. So me and Steve grew up playing D&D. We knew each other since we've been kids, but we've always done handouts. And I think when I first found out about Beal and Grimm's, which was just before Waterdeep, and I regret not getting Waterdeep, but it resonated because that's something we've always done. We've always, the handouts, the letters, the puzzles. We're big fans of having physical puzzles at the table or items, knickknacks that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find a company that was doing that was fantastic. Absolutely loved the idea. Do you prefer using miniatures and props at the table before you kind of knew Beal and Grimm?
Yeah. I mean, I love miniatures. I mean, I was a big toy kid growing up, and so.
Oh, you mentioned Transformers. We have to come back to Transformers. We'll come back to that.
Yeah,
we'll in a sec.
Yeah, was a big toy kid. I mean, I still am, and so I love all the little figures, and I like playing with the grid. I have some Dwarven Forge. I was actually showing some off just the other day on Twitter that I got from the most recent not Dread Hollow, whatever, the big Kickstarter they did, Wildlands. That's it.
Yeah, that's the one. There's the base mats and the trees.
Yeah. And it's just so cool. Like, I never thought that like I would get to the point where I'd have such dope terrain, and it's really special, and it's so it's like mind-blowingly like good how much detail they put into those pieces, like things that you just don't even see unless you pick up a piece from the board and look at it. Like the attention to detail that they have. Like, they'll sculpt frogs onto the grass, and like they will paint the frogs, or on the very sides of the pieces they will have fossils and stuff, and you're just like, that's not even meant for show, and you're putting that in there, and it's just such a cool. I love that company, and they're really nice as well. I know some of them just from talks at like conventions and stuff, like Nate and Mace and Hamster and them, and some.
Yeah. Hamster, we've had Hamster on. We've had Nate's been on as well.
Yeah.
And we've had Chris on as well, haven't we?
Yeah, Chris London's been on.
Chris London's been on.
Chris London's been
cool.
a few times. Again, hoping to do something with them at some point.
Yeah, they're a good group.
Yeah, really nice guys.
Talented as well. Really talented.
Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, I do like playing with terrain. I like it, and sometimes I'll draw a map. It's and then obviously, like, if we're playing a published campaign, I like using our boxes. It's always funny, like, I have arguably more B&G boxes than I've ever had, and in our last, we finished the last campaign, we finished the Sent Over, and this is like, what do y'all want to do next? We have Icewind Dale here. We have a Witchlight on the way, and we have this and this. And they were like, let's do homebrew. And I'm like, you want to do the one thing that I don't have the resources for? Okay, let's do it. So, so that's been going pretty well though. So, I'm very lucky. My players are a good group of folks, and if I were to say no, I want to play this campaign because I have the stuff for it, I'm sure that they would be fine with that. But I want them to have a good time.
That's cool. Yeah, we're doing. You mentioned Witchlight. We're going to be running Witchlight from April. I think we are.
April. Okay.
Yeah, we've got the team is coming together slowly.
Nice.
And we'll be running we're actually going to be running the Platinum Edition. So
dope.
We're going to show as much of that as we can on screen because they need to be seen. I can't just keep them in boxes.
Yes.
I've got to get these out.
Matt would hate it if I said this on camera, but I do think that the Witchlight box is our best one so far.
I was amazed by like the unicorn horn whenever before it was shipped out. You see pictures of it, and everyone's talking about it, and it's on the website, and then you don't realize how big this thing is, and it's heavy as well. And
yes.
you open up the lid, and it's like, yeah, that's a unicorn horn.
Yes. Maybe we were compensating a little bit as a company.
that's almost life size unicorn horn in the box.
It's kind of gnarly too. Like when you look at it, like the bottom is like very.
It looks like it's been cut off, doesn't it? If this was like a real horn, it's pretty beaten and chipped and battered, and it looks like someone's cut it off.
Yes, I mean, yeah, potentially that's. I guess that's always a possibility. You have Warduke running around in there.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a great box. I love the foam. The foam. I don't know why I pronounced that word that way. The foam, like that we've started putting in the boxes, is really neat for organization.
Yeah. Yeah, very handy. The structure has, and that's one of the things when I've interviewed you guys before and doing. When we've done Q&As for the other boxes and things, I've always said to Bill, what did you learn? So what's the improvements to the packing and the boxes and the things like that? And there's always there's a little bit, oh yeah, this time we've done this and this time we've done this. And it's just those small changes makes such a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're really lucky too. Like our fans are, they tell us that stuff. They tell us what they want to see, and we get to make those improvements because they let us know what they want to see in their boxes, and that that always is so helpful to to have them say things like, this piece we didn't like as much, but this one, give us more of that in the future, like that. Yeah. And people sharing and posting about our boxes, that helps too, because we get to see what people really like about it.
Yeah.
For
me the biggest thing is definitely the metal artifacts, because they are just beautiful. But I've always been a big fan of the letter handout, the paper handout.
Yeah.
One of my favourite things was actually in the Everon box, and it was the newspapers.
The news. Oh gosh, those newspapers are so fun to do.
Yeah.
If you like those, you're really gonna like our Absalom box.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I think for me, the biggest impact was Ghost of Saltmarsh, Silver Edition, and it was the captain's diary. And
cool.
It was waterlogged and everything else. And this is early on when I first started talking to Bill, and I mentioned to it, I think that was my favourite piece, and he goes, "Oh, I wrote that." I was like, "Really?" Yeah. I said we did that around the table, and I said that you can imagine you can just kind of imagine that. And when the players read that aloud, and I said, keep reading, now flip it over, now read the next bit, and then the next bit. And they get quieter and quieter as they read it because they know where they are. And they're in the same place. It's very kind of Lord of the Rings-esque where I hear the drums, they're coming closer and closer.
Right, yeah. And, they're a lot of our handouts are written by us. I mean, of course, we reproduce the ones that are in the book, or we flesh out based on what is outlined in the text. And, in a lot of cases, what's outlined in the text doesn't actually, just because of spacing and the way adventures are written, we get to bring a handout to life that isn't explicitly created in that book. And that's one example of it. And, those elements are so fun to create because, all of the, B&G guys, most of them have a theatrical background, and a lot of them were writers and are writers, and so they really enjoy making those pieces, and you can tell when you read them that they're made by people who enjoy writing, and like the humor that comes through in some of the B&G things sometimes, like there are these list of things that bullywugs say in the Witchlight box. These headless bullywugs that can talk, and they're just heads on sticks, and some of them are so dang funny. And I had to whittle that list down to just 20 of them, and that's surprisingly hard to do. Some of the remarks that they put in there are just so golden. You're like, oh, I have 25 now, and I have to cut 5 more. This is going to be really hard.
Yeah, there's some nice stuff in there. We've already mentioned it once, but I'll say it again because it's worth saying. The extra encounters that you all write have been brilliant, and I've said to Bill several times: are you ever going to produce your own book of stories, of just stories, or would it be like a box companion or whatever it is? Because it's really nice to see for those like me who have got the previous boxes, seeing how those encounters have progressed over time, because now you get like a little booklet. You get several different chapters of several different encounters, all different. The one in the Ravenloft, I think it was Bill who did
the granary.
It was very kind of, was it Assault on Precinct 13. So this was Granary 13, but with Zombie Horde.
Yes.
With a creepy little vampire girl. Was brilliant. And I love running that one. I do that as a one shot. That is one of my favourites. But actually your one was good. That was the Egyptian type one.
Yeah, the Tomb of Tashtali. It was very,
I like that.
Yeah, and it's a classic kind of, I wanted to do something that felt more classic with that one, but here's a dungeon, but also to stay consistent with, some of what the writers had said and the consultants on that one, and how our perceptions of, D&D meets, like ancient Egypt, were needed to, maybe change in some respects. The idea that tombs are not made to punish people, they're made to honor people. And so if you go in a tomb, you're not in a tomb. A tomb is trapped to prevent robbers and
you're trespassing.
So and that kind of holds true in that adventure, and it's kind of cool. So there's where we're at. See if let's focus this. See if it focuses. Here we go. Trying to get some of the spine in there.
Yeah, I've been trying to mess around with that as well. We are half an hour till the end, till paint brushes down.
Oh no.
We are doing good on time. Yeah, I love just all the. I prefer the physical handouts anyway. I just think it brings something else, especially when you're playing with your imagination, and then suddenly you go, oh, you find this diary, or you find this letter, you find this thing, and you can go away and make a cup of tea, and your players will still be around the table trying to figure it out or they pass it around table, or they'll read it out in character, and I just love it. I just absolutely love that. It is a great feeling. So I do applaud you guys for doing it. I want more. I don't know how much. Do you ever think you're kind of? Is there ever going to be too much? Is there too many projects that you can take on, because you all kind of lead a box each?
That's something we think about, from time to time. It's not so much too many projects for us to take on. We already take on about as many projects as we have founders, and more so our concern is always like oversaturating the customer. Like we want people to enjoy the things that we have, and there's a lot of products coming out, and there's a lot coming out from us. So, we want to give people time to enjoy them and give feedback. But at the same time, like the more that our, base of people who come to know our projects grows, like the more we can do. Like if there's new people to explore things and to, buy our boxes, frankly, like then we can do more of them. And so that's always a little exciting, and we'll see how it goes in the future. And we're excited to be tapping into new markets with Magic the Gathering, with Kamigawa. And
how did that come about? Because it's not a role-playing game, and
it's not a role-playing game.
Is it because Wizards of the Coast were doing Dungeons and Dragons cards? Was there a connection there, or
there's some overlap in just our partner. We already work with WotC, and so it's we already know so much of the team over there that doing that makes it a natural fit. But also just the idea of like Magic the Gathering players, like they like to have statement pieces, and they have these really cool decks composed of like cards that frankly have their own markets associated with them, because there's in some cases so rare. And so why not put something like that in a some really cool exclusive storage case, and that really is themed around that set. And then just a big opportunity there is the lore associated with these. It's so rich and vivid that it's a natural fit for us to build cool things that rely on this lore and that celebrate it.
That's cool. You mentioned like we know that they kind of, one person will lead a box. Have you got to lead a box yet, or is that something you would like to do?
I was preparing to lead one actually just the other day, so
cool.
Maybe some news to come there, but cool. But no, yeah, like I enjoy the project management, and sometimes like as a producer, you walk that kind of line anyway. Like I'm working so closely with the box lead that sometimes I'm just pushing things along, and it'd be easier to do both sometimes, instead of having to go, hey, what do you think of this? And they go, oh, that's great, do that. I can just do that. But no, it's enjoyable, and the good thing is that we all kind of get to weigh in and get excited about what's in the boxes, and we all kind of get together and brainstorm what's gonna go into them and how the box will be presented and what the subject matter is, and
that's cool.
That's always probably the most fun part.
You mentioned like you get to do something. Is that something that's would be released this year, or are we looking at next? What's the design process? Are you able to? So let's say WotC says, this is our new book. We've got X, Y, and Z coming out. Here's the rough draft. Do you guys break it down into? Because right now we know what Beadling Grimm's does. We have our monster encounter cards. We have our handouts. We have our medallions. Do you break it down into that, and then you go, right, now what can we add to this? What can we?
Yeah, there's always like those familiar elements to start off. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna do encounter cards. We're gonna do the book. We're going to give, maps in some instances. We'll give you, an artifact. Here's an opportunity for an artifact or two. Like, but then we always want to challenge the book in some way. Like, how can we do this differently this time? How can we bring something new to the table? What is the theme of this product, and how can we make that special and ring true in this box? Because it's not enough just to be like, oh, here's the same thing you've seen from us. We want one of those things in there, be it a unicorn horn or foam or fairy wings, to really stand out as unequivocally like this project. This is Witchlight. And so we get things like those role play cards. They're a full deck of role play cards in Witchlight. The unicorn horn, the all of our encounters in that one are able to be no combat options, just like in the text. So there's always some opportunities for variation that make things kind of fresh for us, but also for our customers.
So something I'm going to pick up on something that Bill said in the Drunken Mailbag is that we're going to see this year, or fairly soon actually, a new Kickstarter.
Yes, yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, looking.
Here we are laying the framework for that now.
Cool. Is that something that you're going to be project managing? Is this your project? I'm going to keep digging a little bit.
You're digging, but I am an immovable object.
I know you are, because you're even during the mailbag, you're in live chat saying, "Don't say it, don't say this." Yeah, no, that's not one that I'm leading, but it is one I'm pretty involved with. John and I, John Ciccolini, have been working with Chris Daly, who's also a big part of that. I don't know if you saw Chris in the chat, but he's heavily involved in that project as well, and it's been cool to. I was trying to work out because he's the I think Bill said he's the art director for that project, and I was like, oh, so what is this? Is this something? Yeah. Is this something new? Is this something new we haven't seen before?
Well, there's a lot of artwork, a lot of new artwork. So that's about all I can say on that, but that's kind of exciting. And Chris is a great person and a great art director, and it's just been really killing it when it comes to this project. So that's cool, because I've never gotten to see Chris kind of in that kind of capacity. And Chris also helped, speaking of Gen Con, helped us out at Gen Con a ton by being at Gen Con 2021. Even with all the uncertainty that came with the pandemic and stuff, and Chris just did a fantastic job. So organized, so sweet, and just really great with all the customers. So I'm a big fan of Chris.
Cool. We got Maverick in live chat is asking a couple of questions, but he says they let drop some spoilers at the end of the stream about the Kickstarter. So I know, but I'm going gently. I'm easing justice into it. We might get
we're delivering on our Kickstarter, our other Kickstarter now. So Kickstarter is just one of those realms too, where it's like, we want to make sure that we really, deliver on this one, but also finish delivering on the last one. I know they're, with the dice on their way, it's kind of like that telling moment of, oh, we're almost done with this one. What's next?
We can do the next one.
So
take a deep breath and jump back in.
Where does the decision come from with going with Kickstarter route rather than sort of pre-order you would do on traditional boxes?
Yeah, well, that's a question for the business side, but I think that Kickstarter just allows us to do some things that we can't normally, that allow us to make a big splash with something and be able to track its progress as it goes and get people excited and do things like stretch goals that we can't do in our normal funding platform. But we're hoping that our our fans will turn out and support it, and I'm confident they will. So.
When are you looking for that going live?
I'm not sure, actually. That's not a question dodge. I legitimately am not sure when it goes live at this time. I'd have to check. But...
So Maverick's Maverick's first question, because we just skipped over that, was
Hello, Maverick.
he's asking how long are the box projects on average? Is it kind of like 12 months or 18 months?
12 months is a little long. It depends on when we get the text. In some cases, we get like a not final version of the text and can begin working rather early, depending on how much it's anticipated to change. But we generally, we generally have at least a 5-month head start. We kind of need that, like if we get too far back, especially with the way things are internationally right now, if we don't have enough of a lead on something, that really constrains our timeline. For like Tal'Dorei, like we had quite a bit of time working on that, and had like pieces in advance getting created because we had that's my dog's barking. My neighbors have a new cat, and the cat likes to play outside, and it's a very jolly little cat that loves to play outside and chase bubbles and be sweet, which naturally my dogs hate it. But no, I think I want to say at least 5 or 6 months we're working, but when we get that final text, it is like pedal to the metal, because if we're waiting on, we really can't finalize a lot of the elements until the text is over to us as a final element. Like we can't print our broken out booklets if we don't have the final booklet. We can't do the handouts if we don't know what the final text of the handout's going to be. And you can see how that kind of affects everything down the line. So in certain projects where if we aren't relying on it's not as close to a release, we have a little bit more breathing room, like Strahd or Tal'Dorei, where we have some sort of text to work with in advance. That always helps.
I think with the Beadling Grims, it's always the uniqueness, the unique element to it. So we kind of talked about, we know what we're getting with the Beadling Grims monster encounters, and if you've bought previous sets, you can have quite a big collection of monster encounter cards now.
Yes.
In Witchlight, we saw magical item cards, which are a really nice size. Is that now kind of a new... We're going to see that in future Platinum, Gold, Silver editions, where we can see item cards, which most of them were specific to that adventure.
Yeah, that kind of depends on the text. That's where we're at. We really like offering magic item cards when there are a lot of them in the text. Like it makes it kind of easy to offer something like that we know is going to be useful. In some cases, though, we had that in Avernus as well. We had those more squarish magic item cards that kind of had a lot of room, but those were all pretty specific to the text as well. I can't remember if we had magic item cards for Icewind Dale. But like in the Platinums, we really like offering those cards. They look fancy. They're very helpful, and the fact that you don't have to go rummaging through like a set of like 300 cards to find it. You have a stack of 50 or whatever, or 20 that are just in that adventure. That does help, and that helps me as a GM. So
there was an item in which is unique to Witchlight, which is the fair tickets. And again, I seen the picture. It was like, okay, that's nice. It's a ticket. It's a handout. But then physically holding the tickets, where you have the item which is a star, and it's raised, so it feels like a real ticket.
Yeah.
But you get the ticket stub that you can rip.
You can punch it out. Yeah, you can punch it out and it's perforated. And nobody wants to, though.
No, because you don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, everybody's scared to do it. And I say ruin it.
I would say here's what I would say.
I say ruin it.
I say provide as an extra accessory where you could buy an additional pack of tickets. Because like in Curse of Strahd, you get the letters to your players. You can get
more
letters. Yeah, letters to invite your players to a game of Strahd. So like this, you want to kind of go, right, here's our session 0, here's all our characters, guys. Here's the ticket booth. Here's your first obstacle. Get your tickets. And then as a role-playing, you can hand out a ticket. And that first player gets the first ticket. And you rip that stub and then you give it to them. And all the other players guaranteed around the table are going to go, what? I want one now. But I can't have, my original set must be complete.
Tear it. You got to tear that.
There has to be a way of buying that as a separate add-on edition. Like, just give me a pack of...
The ticket edition.
6 or 8 tickets.
No, you're not the first one to ask. It's the only difficulty is the logistics of selling the tickets. We're like, how many would we make? And are people going to buy them? Like, people say they'll buy them, but it's always like...
Exactly. There's always they say they would, but there is an element of, okay, you can run this box however... You buy this box. This box has everything you need. But once you have those tickets to your first set of players... You don't get that rip effect anymore. And it would be so nice. So, okay, look, I'm going to play this for 6 months.
But that's what's beautiful about it. You've destroyed something for your friends, and you can never have it back. And there's a lesson there.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You can't do it. I let my players keep their tavern trinkets after the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So I have an incomplete Waterdeep Dragon Heist box because my group of over 4 years now has their tavern mugs. And I've turned to Sam at once. I was like, should I ever ask for those back? I was like, these boxes go for a lot. Like, what if I ever want to sell this box?
Yeah.
And she's like, we earned them. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. They can keep them. And that's the thing. If they ever move or go across the world or whatever, they'll have that tavern cup and they'll be able to look at it and think of our game. And
there is a memento that you can take with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we get that question. We're like, will you make more tavern mugs? Will you make more this? It's just, we already have so many products in our store, and every product has to be stored and every has to be kept, and there has to be a record of it and all this stuff. And after a while, if you just have so many products.
There's another piece there. You mentioned the types of products in which there is a new item, which is the collector's coin or the completion coin.
Oh yeah.
Are you going to go back and do coins for the previous boxes?
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That's an interesting question.
And would that come in like a collector's presentation pack?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Was it the Waterdeep medals?
Yeah, the Waterdeep. Yeah, like the badge pack you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I don't know. You'll have to ask a support goblin about that.
Okay. How you doing, Steve? You gone RoboCop on us?
Yeah, I've gone completely.
Oh wow, that's dope.
You'll see when I'm going to put that over there out of camera, so you can see what I've done at the end. But I have gone completely off script with it.
I feel like that deserves a gold star in and of itself. Is the commitment.
Having bad eyesight.
The gadgets, it's like Batman. Like, I'll take it back to Batman. The hair dryer.
I've got the cutters out as well.
You got the cutters. You got 10 seconds to comply, Steve.
I've got the cutters. I've got the needle nose pliers. We're going full on. Because Joe's not here, I'm going to take full advantage. I feel like I have to stand in for the gimmicks. Because normally he goes shift the paints, don't he?
Is Joe really good at painting miniatures?
Joe has more experience than me, so I have the least experience. Steve's somewhere in the middle. Steve like used to paint and then's come back to it, and it's been very, very good. He listens to all the painters' help and advice we've had on. All the people from all around the world who have come on and shared their time with us and taught us how to paint. And Joe paints Warhammer, so he does a lot of plastic.
Yeah, he definitely has the most experience.
But I'm actually quite pleased with my one. I've just done kind of like a two colour. He's got like a prison outfit or double denim maybe.
Yours is very crisp actually.
Maybe it's a romper that tore at the
it's a
crop
onesie.
top sort of.
Got caught out. You could use this in Zombicide. You could use this in Starfinder. You can use this in Fantasy. Doesn't matter. Added some extra blood effect.
Here we go.
I'm gonna take this off.
Oh, that's coming through. Actually, the two different colours there, the brown sets it up quite nice, doesn't it? The brown top.
Yeah, I like the spine. I thought that was fun. That was a really cool detail you pointed out.
Yeah, I tried to. I think maybe my light isn't picking up, but I tried to paint it the bone white colour, let it stick out the flesh. I've added some extra blood in places.
Well, I'm gonna paint yours again.
I've added some. I tried to put the bone on his teeth as well, but I think my light is too bright. I don't think it's going to show up at all. Zoop.
I do like that green you've used.
Yeah, it's called Dead Flesh. It seems to have come out very well.
It does, yeah.
There we go.
It's a double denim zombie. I've decided that.
It's a double denim. Yeah. He's rocking it. Well, the other guy had a mullet. So the guy, for those of you who haven't seen it, so this is my zombie there. So this is a twin pack, and then you've got this Mad Max mullet zombie. I thought that. So I went with double denim. I've got double denim guy. There we go.
I love Mad Max zombie. Wow, there's a lot of detail.
I really like that. Yeah, and you've done the eyes as well.
Yeah, I tried to do red eyes. Got sort of bone teeth. Trying to make him a bit gnarly. He's just slaughtered someone, so he's got blood on his hand. Well, blood on one hand. I haven't put it on the other hand. He's kind of got a few wounds everywhere. And that's it. It's just a simple brown wash. Painted the whole base. I should have probably gone darker on the base. What I would have liked though is like an exposed ankle bone, maybe. You get that whole kind of leg effect, broken leg zombie.
The direction of the other foot looks like you should have a bone sticking out the back of it.
Yeah. He's just a bit messed up. But yeah, that is cool.
Have you ever messed with the green stuff?
No, not yet.
No, we might have to get into that when we do the frameworks. Actually,
yeah, you should get into it. I have a friend who's doing some of that, and he's done some pretty incredible stuff with it. When you said an exposed ankle, I can just think of him sawing the leg off and making a bone connection there.
Yeah, you just have just a little bit of bone sticking out. Right, so that's mine. So Justice, you get to award a gold star. You get to judge.
All right, let's see them. Let's see them both again. Can you hold them up?
I didn't put mine on camera, did I? So I will make sure mine's in focus because I've gone off script. I cut the head.
Oh, look at that! He's cut the head off. But then it wouldn't move, Steve. It's a zombie. You destroy the head.
No, he's carrying it in his hand.
Oh my goodness! How can you compete with that? That's not fair.
So I did some blood dripping down the leg from the severed head, where he's picked up, and down the chest. I did go with a purple colour.
Oh my goodness!
He's very rotted.
I love the purple.
He's very rotted.
Okay. Well, I say you both get gold stars today. But the head is very metal.
Okay. I've only got one gold star, so for Justice can't see this, but I've got a gold star spinning around the page, which is as much as our special effects budget will allow. So there we go. We'll share the star.
Share the star, yes.
Half star.
You have the star on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. It takes off Sundays, and then the other 3 days are.
Cool. And Justice, how did your zombie turn out? Were you pleased with your zombie?
Yeah.
Will your zombie be appearing now on your table?
Yes, my zombie will be appearing on my table. So I don't paint that often. Let's see if I can. So I did a little bit of detail here. Might have ruined it at the end with a little bit of purple, but nothing a dry brush can't fix.
Yeah.
Got some bleeding coming out of the ear, some spinal details, and then went with the classic denim. So he's okay.
I like the back on yours.
Thank you.
I did try and do the spine on mine, but it didn't come out very well. I did expose bone, but
it's a cool mini.
It is a very cool mini, actually. Very cool.
Now I regret not painting the mullet. None of us painted a mullet.
no one did the Mad Max mullet.
I got as far as dry brushing it and putting an ink on it. So, but yeah, I didn't do anything else.
Wow, that's awesome. Billy Ray Cyrus is his
we need to do a zombie land.
Yes.
There we go. Right. We are going to wrap it up there, folks. Thank you much for joining us. Justice, thank you for having... I was going to say thank you for having us. Thank you for being on. And we're painting some minis. Thank you for the kind of background details into Beadle and Grimm's. It's always a pleasure to... I love all you guys. The stuff you create is amazing. Keep it coming. Please do. Hopefully many, many years of Beadle and Grimm stuff is yet ahead of us. And before we go, any teasers? Justice, any teasers?
Yes, any teasers. Pretty soon we're going to be talking. And that's all I can say right now.
Everything. Wow, that is amazing. Luckily, me and Steve both heard that. And we'll share it with Twitter in a second. But we'll see you again soon.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Cheers, everyone. And bye-bye.